Another week, another question from 1Q9A. It's good to see you all again, or for you to see me. Anyway, this week's question is as follows. With so many daily design resources, how do you keep up to date with technology without spending too much time on it? Wow, that is a question I have been struggling with for 18 years. The trouble is web design moves at such a ridiculous rate. There's new techniques, new innovations, new stuff every single day. It is, ladies and gentlemen, impossible to keep up. You just cannot do it, so give up. There is no way. For the longest length of time, the way that I tried to keep up is with RSS feeds. I would subscribe to hundreds of RSS feeds, and every morning I would work my way through loads of them with little or no success. It's just really difficult to keep up. And I think you almost need to let go of that idea of keeping up. But instead, just make sure that you don't miss the key stuff, the big stuff that comes around every now and again. So how do you deal with that? Well, for a start, I do still have RSS feeds, but I have significantly less. I don't look at anywhere near as many as I used to. I just instead subscribe to a few. Now, the ones that I choose to subscribe to are either large publications that I've done some editorial work on my behalf in order to pick what they consider important and what is not. So things like a List Apart, Smashing Magazine, Web Designer Depot, things like that. Or key individuals that are on the cutting edge of what's going on at the moment and who I really want to keep up to date with. I also follow those people as well as in their RSS feeds. I also follow them on Twitter as well, because on Twitter they tend to expose other stuff that they have seen elsewhere, that not just their own work, their own writings, their own thoughts, but other stuff that they've seen elsewhere. Obviously, my Twitter generally is a really excellent way of staying up to date because my friends are on it. And a lot of my friends are web designers, and they're looking at what's out there and they're suggesting stuff and sharing the best. I've become a great fan of this kind of peer recommendation model. So instead of me trawling through huge amounts of work myself, I use my peers, my friends, as an editorial team to kind of narrow down the scope of all that's out there and find the good quality stuff. Now, if I want to learn about an area that I'm unfamiliar with, then maybe I will go out and buy a book. So if there's an entirely new area that I haven't been kind of following the evolution of, then I'll get a book. So typically that isn't web design areas, but if I suddenly discover that psychology can have a huge impact on web design, then I might go out and buy a book on psychology, or I might go out and buy a book on marketing or sales or whatever else. So I use that for kind of broad areas that impact web design. But if I had to pick just one way of staying up to date, it would be conferences and meetups. The great thing about conferences and meetups is you've got experts in their field talking about the stuff that they're most passionate about, and they're condensing all of their knowledge that maybe they've been sharing over their blogs for weeks and months and maybe even years, and condensing that all down into a presentation of 40 minutes. It really is the kind of cliff notes of staying up to date. On top of that, you've got an editorial team in terms of the person organising the conference or the meetup that have gone through and picked which subjects are best, what we need to know about, what is important. So conferences and meetups are a great way of staying up to date, and also they're hugely fun. So that's how I endeavour to keep up to date. But let's face it, I don't think any of us are really going to achieve that aim. And we kind of need to let go of that and kind of recognise that, okay, we won't read every single blog post out there about web design, but if we can just keep up with the absolute key stuff, then I think we're doing well.